student loans for $35,000. You put other debt $1,661. We have charge accounts $3,500. We have closed accounts $770. We have credit cards that are in collections for $2,765, and we have other credit cards for $506, which is a grand total of debt of $44,202.
That's probably where my money is not in play because I don't understand none of that.
Meet Jessica. She's been chasing her dreams of acting and modeling for years, but it has come at a steep cost. Her money is tied up in debt she doesn't fully understand. But the real issue, Jessica has been putting her dreams before her reality, a reality that isn't paying the bills. She knows it, but she continues to hold on to the dream. Will she ever wake up to the financial truth?
Well, my name is Jessica Lee, San Diego, California, and my age, 45.
And what do you do for a living on?
Right now I do acting, modeling, and then I also do leasing agent, like property management.
Okay, and how long have you been doing those different roles?
Acting, modeling for about 3 years, and then property management for about 8 years.
And how much do you make a year between the gigs and then the leasing agent role?
It's about 30 a year.
30,000? Okay. What's the breakdown between the three?
Breakdown between acting, yearly, are you asking?
Yearly, yeah. Out of that 30,000, how much is the leasing?
I guess leasing, let me write this because I know, leasing's at 30,000, correct? So about acting, say about 15, modeling about approximately like 5, and the rest is from the leasing.
Acting, you're making 15,000 a year?
Well, no, I'm so sorry. Rephrase that. I thought you said percentage-wise. Yearly?
Acting 15% of the 30,000.
Yes, but I guess you could roughly say maybe about 3,000, like a year from acting because it's come and go.
Okay, 3,000 a year from acting. How much for modeling a year?
Modeling yearly, about 1,000.
Okay, so not much income there. And leasing agents, the rest of that, like about 25,000 a year?
Yes.
Is that an hourly role? Is that salaried?
Hourly role, and it's part-time.
Okay. How many hours a week are you working? What's the hourly rate?
Hourly rate is 22, and then a week I work about 3 days a week at 8 hours a day.
24 hours a week.
Because I revolved my corporate jobs around my entertainment, like my career, you could say, in acting and modeling.
So you revolve the thing that makes money around the things that don't make the money.
I know, but it's my dream.
Dreams are great, but dreams don't always pay the bills. So we'll talk a little bit about that then. On that, I guess you're chasing your dreams, not making much money from it. So how would you define your current financial situation on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being horrific, 10 being picture perfect.
Honestly, about a 6, 5, 6.
You think you're above average?
Oh, so I guess not. But I'm below average.
Looking at what I have in front of me right now, you're
1 to 10. So I guess you can say on the point. Okay, well then 2.
I think that's a little bit more in line to roughly where you are. I think maybe 2.5 to 3 could be a ballpark. It depends as we kind of go through your statements. But off the bat, we have a lot of debt that are in collections that are not great. Then we have some student loans. So probably at the start of this conversation, I'm going to start with a 2, and we'll reevaluate at the end of that if you're actually at a 2 or where we are. But first glance, that's where we are. So let's talk about debts then. So in front of me, I see we have student loans for $35,000. You put other debt $1,661. We have charge accounts $3,500. We have closed accounts $770. We have credit cards that are in collections for $2,765, and we have other credit cards for $506, which is a grand total of debt of $44,202. Does that sound about right? Did I miss anything?
Sounds about right. And it sounds like I didn't understand none of that. That's probably where my money is not in play because I don't understand none of that.
This is what you sent me over. So we got 6 different line items for the debt.
Yes.
And if you don't understand it, then that definitely causes money to disappear. And if you don't know where it is, there's no chance I'll be able to figure out where it is. So, okay. So then assets, we have the value of your car is a I think you said 13 Mercedes-Benz C250. It's about $8,000 according to my quick Google search. And then we have $91 in your bank account. Is that right?
Yo.
Okay, so your total assets, just over $8,000, brings your net worth to negative $36,111. Does that sound about right?
Sounds about right.
Have you ever calculated your net worth before?
I have not.
Okay. Well, They're the first for everything. So today's the first time you've calculated net worth. It's negative $36,000. So what does that number say to you right now?
It's not good.
Definitely some room for improvement. Definitely some room for improvement, especially now that you're in your 40s. We got to start taking some action on this because you'll be 60 before you know it. And the longer you wait, the harder it is to make up lost ground and put yourself in a good financial situation for when you're older. Who knows what Social Security is going to be when you're 67? It could be there, could not be. I don't know. I don't want to depend on the government. So you got to figure out how do you put yourself in a situation for success and not where you're stressed or working until you're 99 years old on your deathbed. So let's talk about goals, financial goals. What are your short-term and long-term financial goals?
Short-term and long-term are to be free of debt, honestly. But right now, my short-term goals, my finances are just to help my credit and just pretty much or chip away at it, I guess you could say, like the debt that's on there. And then try to get my credit score up. And the long-term goal is to be financially free with the business I kind of want to set up to be successfully financially set, I guess you could say. So when I retire early, it just comes in.
Okay. So a few notes. One, if you want to run a business properly, you got to have your personal finances in order. Because if you can't run a personal finance, basically budget, it's going to be very difficult to run a business budget. Second, why do you want to increase your credit score? What does a high credit score mean for you?
For me, I see it as freedom to where if I want to go get a place to stay or get a better car, I won't have to go to the lot or to an apartment to get constantly turned down. I want to be able to say, okay, your credit score is good. You don't have that much money to put down. You're good to go. So it's easier compared to you walk in there and your credit score is like, it's low. And you're walking there with no confidence because you feel like you're not going to get approved for this, or you have to go for the ugly stuff, I guess you could say, in life because your credit score is not higher. So I figured my credit score is higher, I could get better chances of getting better things in life compared to always being broke. You know what I'm saying? Like broke stuff because your credit score is so low, like below average.
So credit score, I think there's some reasoning behind it, especially like when it comes to renting places. A lot of places do ask to check your credit score to see, hey, can you pay them if they rent you a place? But I don't think you can achieve a decent enough credit score by paying off this debt and just continuing to close accounts after you pay them off for stuff that's in collections and stuff. But credit score, in my eyes, credit scores only help you when you're, I guess, trying to get a place to live, rent, or buying with the interest rate on buying or other debt that you take out. And I'm personally not a fan of car loans. One, you typically over leverage yourself. You go into a dealership saying, hey, I want a $20,000 car, and that salesman talks you up to a $35,000 car because your monthly payment's only $100 more a month or $50 more a month because they extend the term out an extra year or two, and they do some finagling on the back end to make that look better. And so you end up overspending on what you should when you go into those dealerships. And then two, paying interest on it. I'm just not a fan, except what interest rates are today. I mean, you're going to pay 7 to 11% on interest rate on a car loan typically, especially on used cars. And I'm just not a fan of paying interest rate that high on a car. Credit score, it matters to a degree to get a place to live, and your mortgage rate, if you buy a place, it helps get you a lower rate there. Besides that, I frankly could care less about people's credit score. So on these, trying to achieve these goals, do you have a plan in place you said being debt-free is a long-term goal of yours. Do you have a plan in place, or are you working a plan to get you to that point, or what does that look like right now?
It's funny because when you're talking about the credit score, that was like my whole goal, like to keep working just to get pay off everything on your credit report, pay that off, and then start saving money. So I was saying, unless that's backwards, but that's honestly the way I was thinking. And then when I get told other things about the credit score, like what you just said, it had me thinking like that it's only good for 2 or only a couple of things. So why am I spending all my time stressing over that to get out of debt? That's what and I'm putting half my money towards those debts on my on my credit score, and that's why I have any money in my pocket.
No. So you should be paying off the debt. Don't get me wrong. You should be paying off the debt. Yes, paying off debt should be your number one priority. I'm saying the credit score shouldn't be the reason of paying off debt. Paying off debt, the reason is because these payments are taking all your money, and they will continue to take your money every single month until you pay them off. 2, you're paying interest to these banks for this debt, and so that's money that could be in your pocket. But as a result of wanting to be debt-free, your credit score will increase.
You want to be debt-free to be debt-free.
So the goal should be live to be debt-free so that you don't have payment. You don't owe anyone money. They don't control your life. They can't take money out of your bank account and garnish your wages or take you to court. And that will bring more peace and less stress to your life. and allow you to spend that money on getting a place to live or saving up cash for a new car or going on trips and vacations, and it gives you more freedom and flexibility for life. And in return, by paying off debt, your credit score is going to go up because when you have stuff in collections, when you have all this debt, your score does get affected when you're behind on payments, stuff is late, and it does affect it. So,
and that's what I'm learning now, because I was going to get my hair done by this girl. This past February, I was to go try to buy a car because I paid off already 3 cars, 2 of them were Mercedes, paid them off, thinking that was going to help, but then the car, like you said, just depreciate. So, but then I didn't want no car payment. So then I was like, okay, Jessica, I was working, this and that, and I wanted to go get a new car because I just wanted to get an upgrade on my car. So I go in February this year, and I got slapped in the face with the credit score. And I'm like, well, I did not know my credit score was that low, but it was funny because a little bit before that, I just got my hair done for my birthday, and the lady was saying, Jessica, I was in the same situation as you, but my credit score, she said she went to Credit Karma. She said that fake is giving me false advertisement. Then all of a sudden she started telling me to go ahead and go to my experience. That's why I go to experience. And then I'm looking at, after I went to the car lot, he slapped my face. He goes, Jessica, I would love to give you a car. He said, if you pay for the last 2 cars, he goes, but look at your credit score. And I'm thinking to myself, what is I didn't know what was going on. And then that's when he told me my credit score was 465. And I'm like, hold on. He said, Jessica, and I didn't know that. Because not checking your credit, it's it's crazy because it was just getting hit. He goes, if I would do, Jessica, he said, it's only $600 that's holding me back from getting, better stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean? So that's when I went on my credit score, and I'm like, oh my God. That's when I started going in there trying to fix the credit report for that reason, because I was just going to believe what you don't know, Bailey. What you don't know is crazy. What you don't know could hurt you. A lot of people say, oh, but you don't know won't hurt you. Yes, it will, because it's slapping in my face. And that's when I started getting trying to figure out my money situation. Jessica, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? At my age.
So we're talking about credit score. Definitely need to improve your credit score above from a 400. I didn't realize it was that low. But I guess my point is the guiding light shouldn't be, let's get the credit score up to go finance a new car, because then that's just going to stress you out your financing more, because you're going to have a $500 or $600 a month car payment from that. It should be, okay, let's improve credit score because one day you want to buy a house and that'll help your mortgage rate on that. But let's not go improve it just to go in a world of consumer debt with fancy schmancy loans for cars or something. So talking about a plan about trying to be debt-free, do you have a plan, or what is your current strategy to try to improve your financial situation?
Honestly, I may sound crazy, but that was my plan, to get debt-free, was to pay off the credit score and then just continue to keep working to get debt-free.
So that's a good goal, is being debt-free, but what is the plan?
Just honestly continue to work as the leasing agent. They have the jobs keep coming in, the money keep coming in, and just continue to pay off my debt. And then once that's paid off, not honestly, I'm not gonna say go towards all of it one hard hit, but plan on work, get my paycheck, and just chip away slowly at the debt, and then from there just start saving the money. At the same time, I'm not gonna give all my money to it, because then I'll be broke, or something
But giving all your money to the debt, I mean, it's not, you have $91 in your bank account right now, so if you give all your money to the debt, it's not changing. You're broke right now, so if you give all your money to debt, people, you shouldn't be trying to save $50,000 when you have all this debt. I think having a small emergency fund of 1 month expenses is fine, but if you go and try to save $10,000 while you have $40-something thousand worth of debt, that's not smart to do. I think it's good to have a little foundation for if your car breaks down, if you need new tires, okay, great. That emergency fund can cover a 1 month expense, or cover $500 new tires or a transmission or something, but not saving too much.
And that's what I use my credit card for, because I have 2 credit cards now. So I do the minimum payments on that to keep getting my credit score higher, which I did, because like I said, it was at 4. And then when I got slapped in the face with all that, that's when I started looking at it, and I started, I got a credit card, I've done my credit score up, and I've been paying on that for about 6 to 7 months. So those when I put the money to my credit card, those are for my emergency fund. And then sometimes I use I'll put a little bit of cash on a debit card, and I'll go pay a little bit, chip away out some of the debt on my credit report, and then the rest of the money I'll just leave sitting there for just trying to save, I guess, or trying to figure out what to do with the funds that are just after I pay some of the debt, I put a little bit in the credit cards, and then I have a little cash. I try to figure out what should I do with that? You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be broke in my pockets, you know what I'm saying? But it's the money just sitting there, so I figure, but
then if you leave money in your bank account, then you're going to spend it. So
exactly. So I'm trying to figure out this for
So the problem right now is, I'm assuming, do you budget at all? Do you track your expenses?
The best as I can. I'm not an expert, but yes.
Okay, so that's one thing that's very important, that anyone, I think, no matter how much money you make, you need to track your expenses down to a T and understand how much money you spend on food, how much money you spend on gas, on groceries, because there's $30 transaction at the grocery store or online. Doesn't seem like much, but when you do those multiple times a week, it adds up quickly over time, and you don't understand how much money you spend unless you track it. So that's the biggest thing. Like, you need to know your numbers, whether it's the interest rate on your debts, with the amount of the debt, because you said it didn't match Credit Karma, didn't match up with some of the stuff in the logins, like knowing your numbers, your interest rate on those, your minimum payments. That's all very important. And then knowing your budget, what can you spend each month on these different items or categories, so that you know you have X amount of dollars left over to pay towards this debt.
I have not been tracking. I've been tracking, but not to that extent. Like, it's just like little thoughts in my head, not like actually like tracking it down. And I really didn't. Yeah, like I'm shooting bullets, Bailey, but I wasn't really like. And then you said I brought like tracking, like.
Well, that's why it's very important. And having a plan for paying off debt. That's also another important thing. Are you familiar with the debt snowball method versus the avalanche method?
I am.
So avalanche method is you pay the highest interest rate debt first. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Mathematically, it makes sense, but math didn't get you into debt. Psychological things got you into debt, whether it's just spending on a credit card. So I like using the debt snowball method. So that's listing your debts from smallest to largest. So your $506 credit card balance is the lowest one, then the $770, then the $1,600, then the $2,700, then the $3,500, then the $35,000. So you list them from smallest to largest, pay the minimum payments across all of them. And if you have, say, $500 left over each month, then that $500 goes towards paying the smallest balance first. So that gets paid off the fastest. And then that one's paid off, and you move that payment to the second smallest debt, and then the third smallest debt, and move it up as it gets progress. So you see progress a lot faster with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you see, I'm getting me like thinking yes. I'm like yes. You just got me.
That's how the debt snowball method works. And with your situation, where you have a lot of different debts, I think that makes the most sense to do it. I do have some questions on the debt, though. So you have $2,700 in collections for your credit cards. How long ago did that go in collections?
How long? I didn't look at the dates. But approximately since about more than 7 years ago, I guess you could say, because they're still sitting there.
More than 7 years ago, they have been in collections?
Well, no, that's not, because if it was 7 years, I know by law it has to come off. So it's probably been a little bit. Some of them I looked on there, like it's going to come off like at the end of this year. Some of them want to come off in 2025. So sure exactly the date that they get started, but
okay. Well, yeah. I mean, it'll be about 7. It's 7 years, and so I would put those as the last probably thing to look at if it has been that long.
I thought those were the first. I thought those were the first things to look at.
No, I mean, so if you go in the debt snowball method, it's not first, it's fourth. And if you're at the 7 year mark or past the 7 year mark, then I mean that's a moral obligation at that point. They might garnish your wages, they might not, I don't know. But also with collections, it wouldn't be my first choice, because collections agencies, you try to pay pennies on the dollar for the debt too. So if you're getting calls from collections agencies, hey, I want $2,700, you say, hey, I'll give you $500. And if they say no, you say, hey, sorry, I don't have the money, call me back next month. And the next month, you just continue to do that game, because they go and buy the debt for pennies on the dollar, so you can offer them pennies on the dollar to pay that debt off in full. So that's a tactic to pay off debt that's in collections after a certain time period. It doesn't happen overnight, but it can be a process that you can do. But I would figure out, okay, when did that go into collections? Is it past 7 years? Is it not? And then it's really, I guess, a moral obligation at that point after 7 years.
That snowball effect. Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about actually the credit card and collections. So I think it falls off your credit report, but they can still come and garnish your wages after that fact. It doesn't relieve you necessarily of paying the debt off in full. So it still technically exists, and they can still continue to attempt to collect it unless there are statute of limitations in California. I don't know what the California laws are.
7 years and it drops off.
It is 7 years in California?
And drops off. So that says, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I mean, I guess that'd still be the last thing, and just understand that date to do, but I would not be putting that as the first priority. The other debt, what is the charge accounts for $3,500?
I'm not sure exactly. Like I said, I got it from.
That's a lot of money, and I know what it is.
That's why I started looking at my credit card. I remember my credit report, and I seen that, but it doesn't really break it down to what it is. So I'm not sure if that was in like the student loans and everything is involved in that number. I mean, I can go to my credit report and look it up to be, but when it shows on your debt, like it just shows like chunks of it, and then when you try to go break it down, it just shows you like a pie chart of it.
Okay. So that's no, I mean, like I said, knowing your numbers, you should know what every debt you have is, where it is, who owns that debt, and how do you pay it. Close accounts for $770. Was that credit cards or what was that?
The credit cards, pretty much the credit card charge-offs.
More credit card charges. Okay, and then other $1,600. What is that?
I don't know what the breakdown of that one. I honestly, that one I think was probably collections. Like it had like little small collection debts in there, like from like one of them was like from like a storage, I think it was, and then like there's little breakdowns in there, which is like miscellaneous stuff.
Okay. So lots of little debt. So I guess, I mean, I don't think my advice hasn't changed with, hey, debt snowball method, understand where stuff is in collections, what is the statute of limitations in California on that debt as well. But just something to be mindful of. I think debt snowball method will get you started in the right direction and help you start knocking this down.
That will be the one, because when I look at it and I get overwhelmed, I look at the whole big number, like we're talking about that the whole number, and then I get so overwhelmed and I get
That's the issue is if you try to do everything at once, you'll do nothing. You do a whole lot of nothing. If you focus meticulously on one small thing first, you'll make a lot more progress, and then you'll gradually make progress across the other ones. And that way you have much higher chance of success than trying to attack a little bit of everything at the same time. So.
Because I get overwhelmed with that big number. But when you said the snowball effect, I'm like, like the pyramid wasn't built in a day. Like they did it like slowly and surely over time. So that helped out a lot.
Yes, exactly. So let's look at your monthly budget then.
Okay.
So you're bringing in, you said, about $30,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is just over $2,000 a month in the state of California after taxes. Is that where you're landing right now?
Exactly.
Okay, so if you're bringing in $2,000-ish, $2,100 a month, then we should have money left over that is going towards paying down debt. So we've got, right now, you don't have rent because you're living with a friend. Car insurance is $68, gas $200, $150 for groceries. So your total necessities is $418. Subscriptions $50, entertainment $80, personal care $50, shopping $50, which puts your total fund money at $230. So your total living expenses is $648. And then I don't know what the minimum payments are across your different debts. I can't imagine it's more than $200 or $300. So you're probably all in about $1,000 a month in expenses, and you have $2,000 a month in income coming in. So I guess we have to figure out, where's this money going? I guess I have a question on monthly payments. Are you paying anything on your student loans right now?
Just the bare minimum, like $10, because I try to spread what I have out. And then be like, the thing is with mine, it's not constant, like it's not like stably, like, like coming in monthly. Because it's like, like I said, like the leasing agent jobs, I do that part-time whenever the jobs come in. Same thing with active modeling. So it's not consistent, fixed, stable, which I know I need to get a more stable foundation for our income to come in. But it's like, there's like hit and misses. So like I can make like $2,000 a month, but then I have to kind of wing it out, like budget it, because like it's not consistently every single month coming in like that.
So the leasing job, is that not a consistent 20 hours a week?
No, some days, like some weeks could be like maybe 2 days, and the next day, like 1 week it won't be nothing, and then like the next week will be like, it's all varies.
Okay. And how long have you been in this current job for?
About a year now, doing this year same cycle.
What are you doing on the job search front right now? How many jobs are you applying to right now? How many are you looking for to find a more stable base?
Honestly, I only started doing it recently because I'm like, what I'm doing right here is not getting it. So I'm just like, I've been doing it for like a month looking, but no luck in the industry that I'm in. So I'm thinking about moving out of state, but I'm here in California.
Are you applying to like other leasing agent jobs or other property management jobs or stuff in real estate that you have experience in?
And right now, honestly, I'm looking for full-time because the part-time is just not winging it.
Good. I was going to say, finding a stable job needs to be one of the top priorities for you, because if you're not getting a consistent 40 hours of work in for a stable job, then that's going to be difficult to improve or change your situation. If you don't have steady, because right now, I mean, frankly, I know the dream is the modeling and the acting, but if it's not paying the bills, which it's not paying the bills, you're never going to change unless you find a more stable base, and still pursue those passions, but it's going to be more nights and weekends where you pursue those passions and you can chase those dreams still, but you need to have a stable foundation. Otherwise, the acting and modeling world is a high risk, high reward business, but a lot of people don't ever make any money. They never make like a full living wage. And so you have to make sure you take care of yourself very smart with a full-time job and pursue those on the side. And if one day that modeling and acting becomes matches your full-time income, great, pursue that full-time. But if it always is a hobby, making you a couple $1,000 extra a year, hey, great, that's a couple extra $1,000 a year where you're doing something you enjoy and you can spend that and you still get that creative outlet, but you have a stable foundation with your full-time job. So finding a full-time job needs to be one of your top priorities.
And that's what I've been doing.
Okay, so let's look through your current statements that you sent over to me then. So this is one of your Capital One credit cards. So how many credit cards do you have open right now?
Two.
Can I give you a piece of advice?
Yes.
Stop using them. Stop using credit cards. You have proven you can't financially responsibly use credit cards because we have stuff in collections. We have current credit card balance. And if you can't utilize credit cards properly, which is pay them off in full every single month and never pay a dime of interest, then credit cards are not doing you a favor. They're allowing you to spend money you do not have, and they're putting you behind because you're racking up debt. It's going to collections, and you can't pay that debt off. And if you continue to allow to have those things in your life, those addictions we call it, then it's never going to go away. That addiction of swiping the credit card is never going to go away if you continue to have it in your wallet, continue to have it on your phone on Apple Pay. And so the only way to get rid of that addiction is, hey, let's remove it from your life. And that if you don't have a credit card, then there's no way for you to rack up credit card debt that's going to balloon your debt payments, balloon your total debt, and put you further behind. So while you try to get out of debt, while you learn to budget, while you learn more about finances, let's say goodbye to credit cards, lock them up, cut them up, freeze them. I don't care what you do with them. Just don't swipe them anymore because they're allowing you to create bad financial habits. Does that make sense?
It does. And my whole thing was to get them was just thinking to myself, it's going to have my credit score.
And then it's destroyed your credit score because you go to collections, you miss payments, and you pay a heck of a lot of interest in it. So you got them for one reason, but then you utilize them incorrectly, and it just hurts your overall financial picture.
But lately, I've been paying off for 6 months, but honestly, that was the main reason why
You haven't paid off for 6 months because you have a $500 balance and you have thousands of dollars in collections for it. And on this statement, this was June 25th, July 25th. You had an ending balance of $254, but you started the period with $55. You paid $46. You had 120 transactions. You took a cash advance of $110. You got charged $15 in fees and then another $5 in interest. And so that alone, you're using cash advances on credit cards is a terrible way to utilize it. And guess what? You know what this credit card's allowing you to do? It's allowing you to spend $45 on DoorDash. And I don't think there's any justification of spending $45 on DoorDash if you're worried about finances, if you're in all this debt. Is there justification for that?
Well, my car was in the shop and I just needed groceries.
Is there a grocery store or store that you can walk to?
Where I'm located? No, that's the only reason why I did it.
How'd you... DoorDash isn't groceries. DoorDash is food. Instacart is groceries.
The DoorDash does groceries too, but then that's when they got too expensive. I said, never mind, but then yet they're still charging, so I just did away with it, period.
DoorDash, when you're in debt, DoorDash should never be the answer. DoorDash should be off the table because you pay an additional probably 10 to 20% upcharge on it. You pay extra in tip and delivery fees and a lot of hidden costs with it. So that's just not what you should be doing. It also allowed you to spend $21 at Windsor Fashion. What is Windsor Fashion?
That was for fashion for my show. I had to get shoes.
You don't have any shoes.
I had shoes, but for the picture I was shooting, I needed different shoes.
You could not have utilized other shoes. I'm just asking if it's a true necessities when you're in debt. I consist are roof over your head, food on your table, and clothes on your back. It is not, hey, I need things for a photo shoot when I have how many pairs of shoes you have in your closet.
They're tax write-offs, but
I don't care. Tax write-offs don't matter if you have no money. It doesn't matter. What is, I don't know what this is, PAI in $23 on July?
And I didn't look at that because like I said, it's getting smart than my credit card and DoorDash charged twice. And I'm like, so yeah, I don't know what that is, but I'll look into it.
Yeah, and that's why knowing your transactions and stuff is needed to improve your situation. And then cash advances, pulling out money out of an ATM or with a credit card, you pulled out $100-something, you paid $15 in fees for that. It's like you should not be pulling out cash from an ATM with the credit card. It's just is not good.
When you say track, I mean track with a capital TRACK, because I don't look at it as often. And other going through, I'm like, what is? I didn't know they charge that much. Okay.
Exactly. If you don't look at your expenses, you don't know how much money you get charged in doing different things. And on this other credit card, you had a balance of $90. You paid down $21, but then you spent $133. Did $43 more in cash advances with $31 in fees and $4 in interest. So this again allows you to spend on things that you don't need. What is spoiled child?
That was more vitamins, but then I returned that.
Okay, what is kickoff?
That is something else on my credit report. It was what do you call that? Like a
build credit with kickoff. Is a secured credit card?
A loan.
It's a loan?
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks like it's a secured credit card.
And I don't even use it.
So you paid for it. Okay, so it's just, yeah, I mean, I think it's basically,
That's a dumb move up.
A secured credit card that I think.
And I don't even use it.
Yeah, so you shouldn't be paying for it if you don't use it, but basically a secured credit card allows you to build your credit score by acting as a credit card, but you have to put up money to even be able to use it. It works as a debit card and credit card mix, but helps build your credit. And then we have your Boost Mobile payment on here, and then you're at the airport, it looks like, on July 13th. Paulo Maria Airport or something?
Always not airport. It says Airport.
Palomar Airport.
What was the charge on that one?
It was $43 at the Palomar Airport in Carlsbad.
And I had not been to no airport.
Another reason to track your expenses, because I don't know what this is for $43, but you got charged, and you got a $25 late fee there too. And so on this card this year, you spent $73 in fees and interest. And on your first card, you spent $20. So between the two of those, you're at $90-something and some change on fees and interest this year. And then on this Wisely account, another $18 in fees. You had $820 in credits, and then you purchased $888 on this card in this time period. So we've got Uber, we've got more Uber, we've got more Uber, we've got more Uber, more. How much Ubering are we doing? And then you're at the airport again on June 2nd. You had more airport stuff for $44. More airports, more Ubers. We've got more Ubers. Why are you Ubering so much in June?
Because my car was in the shop and I had no other option.
Car was in the shop. Okay. You got Instacart. You've got more Ubers. I mean, a lot of Ubers this month. More stuff at the airport in June 17th.
June was the month that my car got put in the shop and I was going back and forth to work, trying to send out like that.
You've got your good old DoorDash pass for $5 on June 28th. And so, I guess, looking at these transactions, the main thing we got to understand is, one, you're paying a lot of fees in interest and fees, taking out cash advances, late fees, interest, etc. And so that shows, okay, stop using credit cards, because if you continue to spend on credit cards, your balance is probably just going to go up and it's going to cause you to pay more in fees. Number two is we have a very complex system right now. You have multiple cards, multiple accounts. I like simplicity, especially when you're trying to get out of debt. If you have to look at 3 different accounts, see how much money you spend that month, it gets very difficult to track. You're like, oh, I only spent $500 on this account. Then you spend $1,000 on another one and $1,000 on another one. It makes it very difficult. Have one single account that you're using a debit card with, and you can track all your expenses on there and make it super easy to do and understand. You can see the money in and money out. And that's all. That's the main gist of budgeting. You just make sure that money coming in is higher than money going out. So no credit cards, simplicity are the main things you need to do. Another thing you need to do is stable job, finding one that's a full-time stable job that can allow you to pay your bills, allow you to pay down debt, and can give you consistent hours and not give you just 2 days a week or 1 day a week like your current job can sometimes. I don't care if it's going to work at a retail shop. I don't care if it's going to work at a restaurant right now until you find something that's more stable, but like anything that's bringing income needs to be the first and foremost thing. You can still do the gigs on the side on nights and weekends, but you need to revolve those around your full-time job that you find versus what you're currently doing, vice versa, which is your full-time job is revolved around your passion. And once you do those, I mean, you got to be budgeting, stable job, and then start attacking your debt using the debt snowball method. And once you're out of debt, then you can start looking at, I guess once you're out of the consumer debt, then I'd love for us to have a conversation that's $9,200 worth of debt. Once you're out of that, then let's have a conversation, see, okay, what are your student loans at interest-wise? Does it make sense to invest, or does it make sense to pay down student loans? It depends on the interest rate on that. But I mean, we're probably a couple months away, if not a year, depending on how hard you hustle and how quickly you find a new job and how quickly you can pay down this debt, anywhere from 6 to 12 months away from paying all this off. And then we can have that conversation about student loans and see, okay, what is the path for Jessica from here? Is it probably first saving an emergency fund? That's 3 to 6 months of expenses. And then is it paying down the student loans, or is it saving and investing, or is it doing a mixture of both? And it all depends on your tolerance as well as the interest rate on the student loans. Does that make sense?
A lot of sense. I'm like, yes.
And I'll send you a bunch of resources and stuff too for you to look at. But I mean, the biggest thing you can do right now is continue to educate yourself, listen to finance podcasts, read financial books. You're having open, honest conversations like this about finances. And I'm here to cheer you on. I'm here to support you and answer questions you have. But you also have to put in work yourself and decide, hey, I want to learn. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to learn how to budget. I'm going to learn how to check all my expenses. I'm going to learn about the debt snowball method. I'm going to learn X, Y, and Z. And while you're doing that, you can also learn about investing. Don't start investing today because you need to pay off debt first. But at some point when you're out of debt, we got to start investing and saving for the future. Whether that's in a retirement account through work, whether that's in a Roth IRA, whether that's in taxable brokerage accounts, that's something you have to start thinking about as you start getting towards the end of paying off this consumer debt, to then decide, okay, what is your path there? Because I don't want you to get out of all this debt and not understand investing. I want you to learn about investing, and that gives you 6 to 12 months to start learning about it, to get comfortable and understand before you make your first move in that world and start investing in index funds. So
I'm like, you just answered all my questions. I'm like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I haven't asked this the longest, but I had no one to talk to. And I'm like, there you go. It was just all right there. It's simple because I made it complicated.
Yes, very, very complicated across a lot of things across the board that are moving and scattered, and need to simplify it, narrow down, track, and know your numbers. And you can, just by knowing your numbers and tracking, you will make a lot of progress. Because I can promise you spend $500 on shopping in a month, and you know that you're not going to spend $500 next month because you're stressed about money. You're going to think twice about that transaction. And the last thing, investing, you know what index funds are?
No, I don't.
So index funds, you don't need to start investing in index funds like I said today, but index funds are basically baskets of stocks. So think of a basket of stock that owns 500 or 1,000 different companies in it. So these are publicly traded companies like Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Google, and an index fund will own bits and pieces of every single stock. So instead of saying, hey, I'm going all in with my money on company A, and company A maybe 5 years from now goes bankrupt, then all your money goes away. But if you invest in index funds, then you're diversified. If it owns 1,000 different companies and one goes under, guess what? You have 999 other companies that are continuing to be alive and survive. So it allows you to be diversified and not put all your eggs in one basket. So that's how I like to invest, because I'm not going to sit here and read P&Ls like Warren Buffett does. I'm not the next Warren Buffett, so why should I try? I'm going to invest in index funds. If I only average return to the stock market, then that's okay. I'm average. Average means I'm doing better than 50% of the companies, and I'm doing worse than 50% of the companies. But that's a good spot. I'd rather be there than be in the bottom percentage. And typically retail traders, people, investors are on the bottom half of the average returns of the stock market because they think they know what's better, but they have zero control over what Google is doing, what Facebook's doing, what any of these billion-dollar public companies are doing, or what the government is doing that can affect them, or world wars, or COVID, or anything like that. So
speak on it.
But the thing is, you have to pay off this debt and start getting serious about this and investing, because if you wait just 10 years to start investing from now, when you're 55, it is going to be so difficult to build up any comfortable, sizable retirement if you start when you're 55 versus starting today in your early 40s. So the longer you wait, the harder it is. And that's why it's very important to start paying off this debt first, and then you can start investing, because you have to start really kicking into gear to set yourself up for success. So
heck yeah. Speaking with you right now just opened up a whole nother dimension for me right now. You're not understanding that, because like there's only certain people that you could go to discuss stuff like that, and like you don't want to discuss your business because you know you grow up, like you said, like you're taught to like keep that stuff to yourself and you try to figure it out. But it's like you do have to talk to somebody because they can help you with a plan that's simplified way more than what my brain was doing over all these years. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, heck yes, I thank you for the chat and this interview.